race would secure that at the end of the race. Keke Oliveira in 5th. We then have Thomas Tattler in 6th. Johan Harth, Rogers, Ellis Jr., Siggy, Bennett and Toman once again towards the rear. It has not been ideal for Vitality, has not been ideal for one Yuri Toman. But as we now watch the drivers just getting themselves ready, getting themselves into the mix, practice in full flow. What are they thinking, Ewan?
Oh, goodness me, we've got to stop Sebastian Jobe from winning, I think is the main thought.
It's the only mission.
It's the only mission. But I'm not really, I'm sort of half joking. You know, it's going to be the thought of many drivers here. I think the interesting thing for me is the fact that Kevin Siggy is way down at the moment. It's not a given he gets in finalist mode even after this race, by the way. He needs to finish in the top half, 6th or better, to be in finalist mode. That's going to be a pretty tall order, depending on how the opening lap goes, depending on how the race actually unfolds. So he's got to be wary, and all the other drivers behind, Josh Rogers downwards, are going to be trying to finish in the top 2 or so. You've definitely got to start being on the podium. Because of this 9-race limit, you've actually got to be in finalist mode by race 9, because I don't think anybody other than Sebastian Jobe is going to win on points if we have no winner after 9 races.
No, I think that's a very fair assumption. Obviously, anything can happen over the course of the next, whatever laps we do have in front of us. Obviously, still plenty of more racing to come. If it isn't settled at Monza, we will be going back-to-back at the Temple of Speed here over the next 2 races. So, still lots on the table. And Monza, from what we saw in the second chance race that we saw earlier on, what a feisty affair, Ewan.
Fantastic race. One of the best races I've actually seen for ESL R1.
We didn't commentate it.
Oh no, so disappointing. But there you go. You win some, you lose some. It was absolutely wonderful. Unfortunately, involving most of the drivers who aren't here, and they all crashed into each other at the end and got knocked out. So it didn't matter in the end. But wow, what a fantastic race. If we get a flavour of that in race 6 here, we are in for something very special indeed.
Yeah, absolutely right. Ewan O'Leary, wherever you are in the world, if you tuned in, I'm sure you've got your eyes peeled on this one. Will it be Sebastian Jobe who will take and lift aloft the driver's crown? There he is on the right of picture. Will it be the man representing Team Redline who will etch his name on the halls of history and become a driver's champion in ESL R1? He came close in the fall season. The commitment he has to sim racing is unbelievable, but he has got 3 cars that lie in wait. McCormack, Benneker and Chinchik, 3 names that you will not love to dice with. It's going to be a rude awakening. It's going to be a fond affair as now they put pedal to the metal. And it is go, 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 and not wasting any time at all. Sebastian Jobe trying to work his way through the middle of them all, trying to part the Red Sea in front of him. But still it's McCormack who holds the lead. Benneker with Chinchik side by side. McCormack and Benneker there, first and second. Should I say Chinchik having to cut the escape with McCormack, and I think he's had to give way some time, Ewan.
I think he will do. Darren McCormack might well have to as well. Marcel Chinchik slots back in behind Max Benneker, who's coming here for the lead, very possibly, into the second chicane. Tattler and Jobe go side by side into the second chicane. This is important if he wants to clean this up in race 6. He has to get it done now, but he can't. Oh, he's in the gravel, and he's going to drop down the order further now.
Sebastian Jobe, I tell you what, getting the treatment in return from all the drivers around him. He's just been overtaken by Johan Harth coming through the first Lesbo. The second one will come next, and there's a queue of cars waiting in the wings, looking to take him down a peg or 2. And Keke Oliveira will be the next one in the sister BMW. We then have Joshua Rogers in Porsche Coanda, who of course has had a really tough day at the office. Thomas Tattler, the first to break past Sebastian Jobe in the initial stint, coming through sector 1 as they now come through Ascari this time. Jobe looking to try and haunt the rear wing on Johan Harth's car, but this time Johan Harth getting the upper hand, the Frenchman. Jobe looks a little stressed.
He does look a little bit stressed. It's almost as if the 5 ahead of him have gone, no you don't, young man, we're going to take this to at least another race please, because at the moment he's the only in finalist mode. A reminder, he has to win here to take the title as a whole. That's what finalist mode is all about. At the moment he's not going to do it from 6th position, and he might already be resigning himself to the fact that he won't do it in this race. The other thing he has to do here is just pad his points lead a little bit so that he can be sure if this goes the distance and there's no winner after 9 races, I reiterate, he should be the points winner, but as long as he keeps that ticking over, as long as he keeps scoring points, he should be okay for that. That's what he'll aim to do now for the remainder of this race.
Well, lucky the Irish so far out on top. McCormack's been in this position before. Remember Daytona? I tell you what, it all unravelled down the home straight where two red line cars would get the upper hand. This time. It might be the turn of Max Benneker, who now makes the move around Curva Grande. Does have a look down the inside, but I think that's more just sending the warning shots out there to Dara McCormack, just letting him know that he is there. Doesn't want to necessarily commit too early, because Marcel Cinčić will be on hand to pick up any possible advantage free of charge. Then further back, Thomas Tattler, 1 second off the top. But with only 5/10 to find on Marcel Cinčić in front of him. Sebastian Job then down in 5th place. But that gap seems to be starting to curtail out now. 9/10 of the realm between Job and Tattler. Job's got to be concerned about that.
He's got to just try and reel that in as much as he can, and I think he will have the chance to do that now that Johanna is focusing behind him, trying to defend from those drivers behind him, allowing Sebastian Job to focus on his own driving and catching these 4. However, given the fact these 4 are working together, it could be quite difficult. The slipstream here at Monza, so crucial. You can help one another really well if you want to. If there's good cooperation here between Dara McCormack and Max Benneker especially, then we are going to see Sebastian Job really struggle to get onto the back of these 4 and really fight for this win.
Well, the one bit of respite that, of course, Sebastian Job does have is that Joshua Rogers and Kevin Siggy aren't really in proximity to be in finalist mode just yet. So, obviously, given the fact that the points are stacked the way they are, Max Benneker getting closer now to Dara McCormack. This time will look for that move up the inside, and cool, calm and collected, Benneker leads here at Monza, and now McCormack down in 2nd, licking his wounds ever so slightly, but only for now. He'll have his chance, I'm sure, as he makes his way around the Curva Grande.
Just to reiterate, by the way, if you want to be in finalist mode by race 9, which is something you're going to have to achieve if your name's not Sebastian Job, you need to be on 120 points at the end of this race, and Max Benneker and Dara McCormack both will need to finish in these kind of positions to achieve that. Further behind, Sebastian Job just overtook Thomas Tattler in a move, I've got to say, that looked very nice between the two, if I can put it that way.
Well, it was a very hard 4-10 from Tattler in the first place to take that place away from Job, but Job has done very well to bring that back in, as we just see Dara McCormack fighting the wheel coming through Lesmo 2, and now the Seraglio straight will be burning and roaring here as a BMW M4 coasts down, or should I say cascades downwards in towards the Ascari chicane. McCormack back on the rear of the Beamer, belonging to Max Benneker. Marcel Cinčić having probably his best race so far in the Esports World Cup. 3rd place there on the timing tower. Sebastian Job trying to rein that in. Now that gap has come down between Job and Cinčić. It is now 1.2 as opposed to the gap that was very nearly 2 seconds. Let's take a look at a replay.
Let's have a look at what happened on lap 1. That was Cinčić going over the curves because of pressure from Benneker, but then had to just give up the time. I think he could have made that corner, to be honest. It's sort of self-punishing, isn't it, because of the slowdown? So yeah, there won't need to be a penalty, I wouldn't have thought, applied by race control, but I do think he could have made more of an effort to make the corner.
Yeah, I think Job is hoping now, as we move back and pan our eyes towards the battle up at the front, that Benneker and McCormack, Cinčić start squabbling here just to allow Job to rein in that delta gap. And I think this is something that Benneker and McCormack, as well as Cinčić, are very wary of, because they all need to try and get into finalist mode. Any unnecessary squabbling is obviously only going to go in Sebastian Job's favour at this stage, as we now watch them make their way down out of Curva Grande, down into the Rogier chicane once more, as we now ride on board with Marcel Cinčić. He's won several races at this very track. As I said before, Master of Monza, 3rd place at this stage, though not quite the Master's position of old. But as we can see him in the top right, the Hungarian, who has a warm family around him who support his every move. It was his brother who got him into sim racing after buying that wheel that only went 90 degrees left and right back in 2008. He's come a long way since then, and now part of Team Vitality, representing the likes of Roman Grosjean, who said to him the first words he uttered to Marcel Cinčić after winning that spring season title: we push, we keep pushing. It does not stop, and that's exactly the mentality you need to have, and that, dare I say, is the mentality that Sebastian Job has.
Yeah, absolutely. He's in 4th place at the moment, just tagging along everybody with him. But yeah, remarkable story for Marcel Cinčić, certainly our first ever ESL R1 champion back in Munich just over a year ago, although this race feels very different to that one. Race 8 that evening, it was a lights to flag victory pretty much, after Moritz Lerner bombed himself down the inside of absolutely everybody, and Cinčić was able to come away with the win as the top 2 get close again. close, but not threatening, I would say, as they make their way down into the first chicane again.
Yeah, Job is getting closer and closer again. He was nigh on 1.4 seconds away from Beneke up at the top. Beneke still leads. McCormack in second. Chinchik, the gap between he and Job. Remember where it was before, folks. It's now only a mere 1.1. It is starting to shrink even further, and Job really putting in the legwork now. And one thing that can be said for him is the gap between he and Tatler has also advanced somewhat. It's 2.4 now between Tatler and Beneke, though if you look at the gaps now between Job and Tatler, you're talking 0.7 of a second. So the great work being put in place here by Sebastian Job is definitely certainly paying off here at this point, and he's still got some room to breathe because we're only on lap 6 of 10.
He has got some time, but I do think if these three continue to work together like this, there's just no way he can catch. He hasn't got any slipstream from Red Bull. He's not being pushed by Thomas Tatler, who frankly can't stay with him by the looks of things. And when there's three ahead of you working together and you just by yourself on your own trying to catch up, I don't really see how this is going to work for Sebastian Job. As Marcel Chinchik goes off, he's hit the curb through Ascari. It's a chicane that the Audis do not enjoy, and Marcel Chinchik himself was telling me about how much they have to be careful through there, probably more than any other manufacturer. That might change the game as he makes that slight mistake on lap 6.
Those immobile obstacles, the race curbs through Ascari, ever so treacherous, and they've punished Marcel Chinchik to a degree. Though one thing that can be said is that he hasn't lost a huge degree of time, but still Job is going to persevere, and dare I say, he has broken to within a second of Marcel Chinchik. So if it keeps on like this, he will have that slipstream. He will be able to join the runners up at the front, and Chinchik is somewhat exposed, and Tatler has also rejoined this front end fight.
Yeah, that might just have reconnected the groups here. Further behind, by the way, the battle for 6th place is still very fierce, and Kevin Siggy is trying to work his way through all of them. He's just got past Kaiki Oliveira, who at one stage was looking for 6th place, and now he's falling backwards and is in 10th position. Nothing doing for the leaders here. They'll continue to follow one another for the moment. We're still just over 3 laps to go, but the reason I bring up Kevin Siggy, he still needs 6th place in this race to be in finalist mode at the end.
Yeah, but he's not far away from it. 3 places away from it, to be precise, but he's got his own teammate Luke Bennett in between him, as well as Josh Rogers, Johan Harth. That is a trifecta of tricky drivers to get past, as we now ride on board here with Joshua Rogers, who, like I said, on the tail of Johan Harth now, also trying to ascend up the places now as they come down Serralio. And very soon Ascari will grace them with its presence very shortly, as now they'll run nose to tail. Rogers not plumbing for the move through Ascari. Very wise thinking. We saw moves like that for the second chance race. Johan Harth almost going sideways, coming through the midway part of the Ascari chicane.
They do that quite often. It's the line, really. It's the way they do it. It's not a way I would enjoy driving, I must admit, but they clearly get some time out of it. That's on the way down towards the final corner now as we focus back on Job, who at the moment is doing a bit too little too late here. 3 laps to go now for Job to get there, and a reminder again, he needs to win this race to win the title. At the moment, he's nearly 2 seconds away from Max Beneke, who is still leading this race.
Yeah, Beneke still in control and in charge. McCormack has refused to pull the plug just yet. We do have some battling further back. I think Rogers and Luke Bennett have been going at it right at the back, and also I think you can add Johan Harth into the mix too, so a 3-wide scrap coming in towards turn 1. I think Rogers actually got the upper hand because he's ahead of Johan Harth here at this stage. A fantastic effort from Rogers, who has had his obstacles in front of him. Obviously a very different set of circumstances from the rounds leading up to the Esports World Cup, but has got to try and dig deep for something. Obviously came into this with that 100 points. He's just lost out again because Johan Harth is now peaking into 6th. In fact, I think they're running side by side right now as we ride on board here with Max Beneke.
Yeah, and Bennett's there as well, and Kevin Siggy as well, as he tries to make his way forward into 6th position. But there is Beneke leading the race again. He's already won on 5 occasions in 2024 in ESL R1 in decent form. And as we've said time and again, he is the reigning champion. As we do go back to this battle, this is lively, isn't it? This is just a couple of laps away from the finish. And all of the other drivers outside the top 5 are fighting for 6th at the moment.
Yeah, Kevin Ellis Jr. not having an easy run, it has to be said. Down in 12th place. Bear in mind, we have got another trip to Monza coming up should Job not take the title here in this very race. It means we will go to a second race here at Monza. Though at this stage, it would mean that Kevin Siggy won't be in finalist mode, and it will essentially feed Sebastian Job another opportunity, Ewan.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And at the moment, there's no other driver who's really one race away. I mentioned earlier on, you need to be on 120 points at the end of this race to be in the running still for this one and not in finalist mode at the moment. Max Benneker at the moment is achieving that, so's Darren McCormack, but Kevin Ellis Jr. isn't because he's down in 12th position. Here goes Ellis Jr.'s teammate, Johan Hart, out on the outside line through into 6th position. And look at Josh Rogers, just getting freight trained there.
Yeah. Fortunately getting done twice over at this stage. Luke Bennett and Johan Hart. Johan Hart now up to 6th, Bennett 7th. Rogers now down to 8th place with Kevin Siggy on his tail, 4 tenths between them. Max Benneker losing out to Darren McCormack up at the front as well. So that gap has now sprung out to nearly over a 10th on the penultimate lap of the race. McCormack plumbed for the lead and has got it, and has got Benneker now breathing down his neck. Now, you do have to wonder whether McCormack has timed that in the right way, because we will be on the final lap come the next time around, and if Benneker gets the run down the long home straight, essentially it places him in pole position. Yeah,
he's either timed it perfectly or whatever the opposite of perfect
Well, is it going to be Daytona all over again?
Exactly, yeah. He'll have bad memories from that, of course, when 2 of the red line drivers, Sebastian Job and Kevin Siggy, bump drafted their way past Darren McCormack on the very final lap. Well, it's no teammates involved here because Max Benneker is a lone driver in this drivers' final. However, he could still draft past him on the very final lap. We'll wait and see, but that wasn't a very good Ascari chicane. That could give Darren the breathing space to hold on.
It could well do. 4 tenths now the difference between McCormack and Benneker. Chinchik now 1.2 behind McCormack. The gap between Chinchik and Benneker is standing at around 9 tenths, 9 to 8 tenths of a second. Sebastian Job 1.7 off the top and trying to close up to the back of Chinchik, which is proving easier said than done, but no changes for now. And I still think haunting Benneker, that run through Ascari is setting him back a little bit. I don't think he's going to have an easy move heading in towards turn 1, and he might be forced to relent here as they make their way through towards turns 1 and 2.
Nothing doing in towards turn 1 this time round. I don't think he was close enough, to be honest, and so he will have to try somewhere else. Second chicane, I don't think he's close enough there really either. I think he's going to have to come into either Ascari, which is not a normal place to do it, or the final corner, where we did see some last chance moves in the last chance qualifier as well. Here we go though, second chicane, Benneker's going for it.
Well, we didn't think he would, but he did. A fantastic move from Max Benneker. Oozing brilliance here from the veteran, 30 years of age. Of course, he still got it. Various championships that he's won in the past. He's now looking to be on the cusp of taking a victory around the Temple of Speed at a very momentous time. And it could yet force the hand of, obviously, several other drivers around to try and pick their game up in order to try and enter finalist mode. Benneker now bringing his best. Here comes McCormack coming in towards the Serralio straight, through towards Ascari. The Williams on the attack. Benneker says no.
Not for the moment. Darren McCormack needs the Ascari of his life here, but I don't think he's quite had it. It will be final corner or nothing, and indeed it will be nothing. Both of these two have done enough to stay in contention for finalist mode at the end. They're going to finish 1-2 here, though.
Well, he started his sim racing journey back in 2011, but as far as he's concerned, the true journey began in 2015 at 20 years of age. Max Benneker coming out of Kerber Alboreto. He's going to be a victor for the first time at the Esports World Cup here at the Temple of Speed. It's Max Benneker who takes victory with Darren McCormack in second, Marcel Chinchik third. It was for naught for Sebastian Job. He finishes in fourth.
Benneker is still alive in this championship. 4th place now in the points, moving on up after his first win of the evening. He'll be very pleased indeed. He'll realise there's more work to do.